The Kraxan warships emerged from hyperspace like obsidian daggers cutting through the velvet of space. Their arrival cast long shadows over Europa colony, humanity's pride and first settlement beyond Mars. Admiral Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Night, his scaled fingers drumming against the command console as he watched the human settlement through the viewscreen. Primitive, he sneered, mandibles clicking in contempt. They don't even have planetary shields. His bridge crew chittered in agreement, their confidence bolstered by the sight of the seemingly defenseless human outpost below. The Kraxan Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds, and Earth's colonies would be no different. But Captain Sarah Chen, watching from Europa Colony's operations center, allowed herself a small smile. The Kraxan ships were exactly where they wanted them. They took the bait, she transmitted through a quantum-encrypted channel to Earth Defense Command, initiating Operation Honeypot. Beneath Europa's icy surface, in vast chambers carved out decades ago, rows of electromagnetic pulse cannons hummed to life. The Kraxans had fallen for humanity's carefully crafted deception, a seemingly vulnerable colony that was, in reality, a fortress. Admiral Vexthor was still issuing orders for planetary bombardment when the first EMP blast struck his fleet. Ship after ship went dark as the pulses rippled through their hulls, bypassing their advanced shields completely. The Kraxans had never encountered weapons quite like these. Humanity had developed them specifically for this moment, studying the few pieces of alien technology that managed to salvage from reconnaissance missions over the years. Impossible. Vexthor roared as his bridge systems flickered and died. They're savages. They couldn't have. The Admiral's words were cut short as a second wave of attacks began. From concealed silos across Europa's surface, swarms of kinetic strike drones launched into space. These weren't the energy weapons the Kraxans were used to. These were simple, devastating projectiles accelerated to relativistic speeds. Their shields, designed to deflect plasma and laser fire, proved useless against such primitive but effective weapons. In the operations center, Sarah allowed herself no celebration yet. This was only the beginning. Phase 1 complete, she reported. Enemy fleet disabled. Commencing capture operations. Teams of human Marines, wearing powered armor suits that had been kept secret from alien observers, began boarding the paralyzed Kraxan vessels. The aliens had expected to face a primitive species armed with crude projectile weapons and basic energy shields. Instead, they found themselves fighting against soldiers in exoskeletons that could tear through bulkheads, armed with weapons that combined Earth's primitive ballistic technology with reverse-engineered alien tech. The battle for Europa colony was over in less than an hour, but Sarah knew this was just the opening move in a much larger game. As she watched the Marines securing the Kraxan flagship, she opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. Send word to the Council. The Kraxans took the bait exactly as predicted. We have their ships, their tech, and most importantly, their strategic data. Tell them to begin Phase 2. On Earth, in the depths of the Himalayan Command Center, Fleet Admiral James Rodriguez reviewed the incoming data with grim satisfaction. The Kraxans had been studying humanity for years, watching their apparent struggles to establish a few primitive colonies in their own solar system. But they hadn't realized they were being fed a carefully crafted illusion. While the aliens watched humanity's seemingly clumsy first steps into space, vast shipyards had been constructed in the asteroid belt, hidden from prying eyes. While they observed Earth's apparently primitive defense systems, quantum computers had been cracking Kraxan encryption and studying their weaknesses. The humans had learned from history. They knew that sooner or later they would face a hostile alien empire. They had spent decades preparing for this moment. Status of the Kraxan prisoners. Rodriguez asked his staff. Secured, sir. Their biology matches our intelligence exactly. The containment systems are working as designed. Rodriguez nodded. The Kraxan Empire had chosen Earth as an easy target, a young species they could subjugate quickly to add to their collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they had stumbled into a carefully laid trap, and in doing so, had given humanity exactly what it needed: a fleet of advanced alien ships to study, and prisoners who could be interrogated about the Empire's defenses. But even as the victory reports came in, Rodriguez's expression remained serious. This was only the first strike in what would become a much larger conflict. The Kraxan Empire wouldn't take this defeat lightly. They would return with a larger force, determined to crush this upstart species that had dared to resist them. "Send word to all colonies and outposts," he ordered. "Operation Thunderbolt is now in effect. We've bloodied their nose. Now it's time to show the Kraxan Empire exactly what humanity is capable of." As the orders went out, Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Europa Colony, watching Earth ships towing the captured Kraxan vessels to hidden shipyards. The aliens had thought humans primitive because they still used ballistic weapons alongside energy beams, because they hadn't developed planetary shields. They hadn't realized that humanity had chosen to develop along different technological paths, ones that had just proved devastatingly effective. "Send a message to the Kraxan Empire," she murmured, knowing that even now, quantum communication relays were broadcasting across the galaxy. "Humanity is not your prey. We are not some primitive species to be conquered. You wanted war. Welcome to Earth." Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden among the countless spinning rocks, lay humanity's greatest secret. The massive facility known as Phoenix Station was carved into the heart of Ceres, invisible to all but the most sophisticated scanning technology. Here, in chambers vast enough to house entire battleships, Earth's true military might was about to be unveiled. Dr. Maya Patel stood before the gathered military leadership, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic display of Project Phoenix's crown jewel, the HSS Prometheus. The massive warship represented decades of careful research, combining reverse-engineered alien technology with humanity's unique innovations. "As you can see," Maya explained, gesturing to the schematics, "the Prometheus isn't just a warship. It's a statement of human ingenuity. While the Kraxans focused on energy shields and plasma weapons, we took a different approach." The hologram zoomed in on the ship's hull, revealing layers of smart metal armor that could adapt to different types of attacks. The outer layer contains millions of nanomachines that can reconfigure in real time, either hardening against kinetic impacts or dispersing energy weapons. But the real breakthrough is the propulsion system. Admiral Rodriguez leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the hologram's blue glow. "The quantum slip drive." Maya nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "We've solved the stability issues. The Prometheus doesn't need to use traditional hyperspace lanes like Kraxan ships. It can create its own quantum tunnels, appearing virtually anywhere in space. Their defensive networks are useless against it." The assembled officers murmured in appreciation. Earth had known for years that the Kraxans were coming. It was inevitable that humanity would eventually face an aggressive alien empire, but instead of trying to match their technology directly, humans had developed countermeasures and alternatives. "What about offensive capabilities?" General Santos asked, her cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the schematics. Maya's hologram shifted to show the weapon systems. "We've developed what we call the 4G system. Focused Oscillating Resonance Gravity Emitter. It doesn't just attack enemy ships. It tears them apart at the atomic level by manipulating gravitational fields. No known shielding technology can stop it." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Kraxans thought they had attacked a primitive species barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they had awakened a giant that had been preparing for war, while presenting a carefully crafted facade of technological inferiority. "How many ships can we field?" Rodriguez asked. "The Prometheus is ready for immediate deployment," Maya responded. 5 more vessels of the same class will be operational within the week. But that's not all. She keyed in a new sequence, and the hologram changed to show something that made even the hardened military leaders gasp. A massive ring-shaped structure appeared, rotating slowly in the holographic display. This is the Phoenix Gate. Using technology reversed engineered from the Kraxan ships we captured at Europa, combined with our quantum slip drive research, we've created a device capable of generating stable wormholes large enough for entire fleets to pass through. General Santos stood up, her cybernetic eye glowing brighter. "You're saying we can strike anywhere in Kraxan space?" "Better than that," Maya replied. "We can strike everywhere in Kraxan space simultaneously. Their empire is built on the assumption that they can concentrate their forces along hyperspace lanes. The Phoenix Gate lets us ignore those lanes completely." Admiral Rodriguez studied the hologram intently. "They'll never expect this. Their entire strategic doctrine is based on controlling key hyperspace road intersections. If we can bypass those, we can hit their production centers, their shipyards, their command facilities, all at once," Maya finished. "They built an empire spanning thousands of light years, but they did it by following predictable paths through space. We're about to change the rules of the game." The briefing continued as Maya revealed more of humanity's hidden arsenal. Swarms of autonomous drone fighters with artificial intelligence that could adapt to enemy tactics in real time, powered armor suits that could operate in any environment from deep space to gas giant atmospheres, and communication systems that used quantum entanglement to coordinate attacks across vast distances instantaneously. As the presentation concluded, Rodriguez addressed the assembled leaders. "The Kraxans think they've awakened a sleeping giant. They don't realize they've awakened something far more dangerous: human ingenuity and determination. They expect us to fight according to their rules, using their types of weapons and tactics. Instead, we're going to show them something they've never seen before." Maya stepped back from the hologram projector, watching the military leaders discuss deployment strategies. She thought about all the years of secret development, all the resources humanity had poured into Project Phoenix, while maintaining the illusion of being a relatively primitive civilization. The Kraxans had fallen for the deception completely, never imagining that their primitive prey had been preparing such devastating countermeasures. "Dr. Patel," Rodriguez called out as the meeting was breaking up, "how long until the Prometheus can deploy?" Maya checked her neural interface. "The crew is already aboard and running final systems checks. We can launch within 6 hours." "Make it 3, Rodriguez ordered. "Intelligence suggests the Kraxans are marshaling a major fleet for a retaliatory strike. We need to hit them first, hit them hard, and show them exactly what they've gotten themselves into." As the others filed out, Maya remained behind, staring at the hologram of the Prometheus. The ship represented humanity's response to a hostile universe, not just copying alien technology, but improving upon it, combining it with human innovations in unexpected ways. The Kraxans were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity's potential. "Begin launch sequence," she commanded through her neural link. Throughout Ceres, massive machinery hummed to life as Project Phoenix prepared to rise from secrecy and show the galaxy that humanity was far more than anyone had imagined. The Kraxan High Command facility on Nexus Prime was considered impregnable. Surrounded by the Empire's most powerful defense fleet, protected by overlapping energy shields, it had never been seriously threatened in its 1,000-year history, which was why Grand Marshal Kexnar felt completely safe as he coordinated the massive retaliatory strike against Earth. He never saw the quantum tunnel opening directly inside the command center. The HS Prometheus materialized in a flash of blue light, its smart metal hull already configuring for close-quarters combat. Before the Kraxan defenders could even react, waves of human marines in powered armor were streaming out of deployment bays, their weapons specifically calibrated to penetrate Kraxan battle armor. Captain Sarah Chen, now commanding the Prometheus, watched through her neural interface as the assault teams moved with precision through the facility. The Kraxans had expected any attack to come from outside, to be stopped by their formidable defenses. They hadn't conceived that humans could bypass those defenses entirely. "All teams, execute with extreme prejudice," she ordered. "We have 15 minutes before their fleet can respond." Across the facility, Human forces were demonstrating the results of years of preparation. Their powered armor suits, enhanced with artificial muscles and neural interfaces, made them more than a match for the physically stronger Kraxans. Their weapons, combining traditional ballistics with advanced energy systems, tore through defenses designed to stop pure energy weapons. Grand Marshal Kexnar barely had time to sound the alarm before his command center was breached. He watched in horror as human soldiers literally walked through walls using phase shift technology, their weapons cutting down his elite guards with contemptuous ease. "Impossible," he growled, reaching for his ceremonial blade. "You're primitives. How did you?" "That's your problem," Sarah responded, stepping through the breach in her command armor. "You see what you expect to see. We showed you primitive colonies, outdated weapons, and you never thought to look deeper." But this was just one part of a much larger operation. Across Kraxan space, quantum tunnels were opening as humanity launched simultaneous strikes at key military installations. The Phoenix Gate, now fully operational, allowed Earth's forces to ignore the traditional limitations of space warfare. Admiral Rodriguez, coordinating from Phoenix Station, watched as reports flooded in. Human strike teams were hitting shipyards, supply depots, and command centers across the Empire. The Kraxans, used to fighting along predictable hyperspace lanes, found their carefully planned defenses bypassed and their forces scattered. "Status of Operation Thunderbolt," he demanded. 70% of targeted facilities have been neutralized, his AI assistant reported. Kraxan response times are slower than anticipated. They appear to be in complete disarray. On the Prometheus, Sarah secured the last of the command center as her teams downloaded crucial intelligence from the Kraxan databases. The strike had achieved complete surprise. The Empire's leadership had been captured or eliminated before they could mount an effective response. "This is just the beginning," she transmitted to the captured Grand Marshal. "Your Empire thought it could prey on weaker species, absorb them into your collective through force. You thought humanity would be an easy conquest. Instead, you've given us the reason we needed to dismantle your entire empire." Through quantum entanglement communications, Sarah could see similar scenes playing out across Kraxan space. The Empire's mighty fleets, rushing to respond to the attacks, found themselves out of position and unable to coordinate. Human forces would strike, devastating critical facilities, then vanish through quantum tunnels before reinforcements could arrive. "All strike teams, prepare for Phase 2, Rodriguez ordered from Phoenix Station. The human fleet, now revealed in its full strength, began systematic attacks on key Kraxan military installations. But these weren't just acts of destruction. They were carefully planned to minimize civilian casualties while maximizing military impact. "We're not like you," Sarah told the captured Kraxan leader. "We're not here to conquer. We're here to liberate. Your empire's time of forcing other species to submit is over." The Kraxan response fleet finally arrived at Nexus Prime, only to find their command center already secured and their leaders captured or killed. They were met by a message broadcast on all frequencies, showing the devastation humanity had wreaked across their empire in just a few hours. "Your choice is simple," Sarah's voice echoed across Kraxan communication channels. "Surrender and help us establish a new order based on cooperation rather than conquest, or watch as we dismantle everything you've built, piece by piece. We've spent decades preparing for this moment. You have 1 hour to decide." As the deadline approached, Rodriguez watched the tactical displays showing the complete chaos engulfing the Kraxan Empire. Their rigid command structure, decapitated by the human strikes, was collapsing. Individual fleet commanders, unable to receive orders from high command, were making their own decisions, some preparing to fight to the death, others already signaling their surrender. "Send word to all human forces," he ordered. "Prepare for selective strikes against any holdouts. Remember, we're not here for revenge. We're here to end the threat of the Kraxan Empire once and for all, and to free the species they've enslaved." The counter-strike had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations. In less than a day, Humanity had broken the back of an empire that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning of a longer process, dismantling the empire's infrastructure of oppression and helping its subject species reclaim their freedom. "Prepare for broadcast on all frequencies," she ordered. "It's time to let the galaxy know that a new era has begun, one where humanity stands ready to protect the rights of all species to live free from tyranny." In the aftermath of humanity's devastating counterstrike, the great halls of the Galactic Assembly on Earth buzzed with activity. Representatives from dozens of species formerly subjugated by the Kraxan Empire had gathered, many seeing their former oppressors' technology for the first time used for peaceful purposes, the quantum tunnels now serving as transport for diplomats rather than soldiers. Dr. Maya Patel stood at the podium, addressing the assembled delegates. Around her, holographic displays showed the extent of the Kraxan Empire's former territory, now divided into zones of reconstruction and liberation. The alien representatives watched with a mixture of hope and wariness. They had traded one powerful species for another, and some wondered if humanity would prove any different from the Kraxans. "We understand your concerns," Maya began, her voice translated simultaneously into 24 different languages. "You've watched humanity emerge from seemingly primitive beginnings to destroy the Kraxan Empire in a matter of days. You wonder if we'll simply take their place as the galaxy's new overlords." A ripple of agreement passed through the assembly. The Zentari delegate, their crystalline form shimmering with nervous energy, spoke up. "How do we know you won't use this power to establish your own empire?" Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stepped forward. "Because we remember what it's like to be the underdog. Humanity spent decades preparing not just to defend ourselves, but to ensure no species would ever again dominate others through force." The holographic display shifted, showing the new technology humanity was offering to share: medical advances, clean energy systems, agricultural improvements. But notably absent were any weapons or military technology. "We're not here to rule," Sarah continued. "We're here to help you rebuild, to establish your own defenses, to ensure that no empire, including any future human empire, can ever threaten your sovereignty again." The Mixari representative, a being of living plasma contained in an environmental suit, raised their manipulator appendage. The Kraxans claimed the same when they first arrived. They offered protection, technology, advancement, and then used those very gifts to enslave us. Admiral Rodriguez, joining via quantum link from Phoenix Station, nodded gravely. "Which is why we're not asking you to trust us blindly. We propose the formation of the Galactic Defense Council, not led by humanity, but with equal representation from all species. Any major decisions would require unanimous approval." The assembly erupted in discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't seeking to replace the Kraxans. They were proposing something entirely new in galactic history: true cooperation between species. Maya activated another holographic display, showing the proposed structure of the council. Each species will maintain its own military forces, its own territory, its own sovereignty. The council's role will be purely defensive, ensuring that no single species can ever again threaten the freedom of others. The Arxan delegate, their feathers ruffling with interest, spoke next. "And what of the Kraxans themselves? Will they be allowed to join this council?" "Those who have surrendered and rejected their empire's ideology of conquest will be welcomed as equals," Sarah answered. "We're not seeking revenge. We're seeking to build something better than what came before." As if to emphasize her point, a small delegation of former Kraxan commanders entered the chamber. They had been among the first to surrender, recognizing that humanity's victory offered a chance to reform their society. Former Grand Marshal Kexnar, now serving as a liaison between his people and the emerging alliance, addressed his former subjects. "My species let power corrupt us. We forgot that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Humanity didn't just defeat us militarily. They showed us a better way forward." The assembly watched as human and Kraxan representatives together unveiled the technical specifications for a new defense network. based on humanity's quantum tunnel technology, but incorporating innovations from multiple species. It would allow for rapid response to any threats, while preventing any single power from controlling the system. This is your chance, Maya explained, to help build something unprecedented. A galaxy where technological advancement serves all species equally, where strength is measured not by military might, but by how much we can achieve together. The Zentari delegate's crystalline form pulsed with curiosity. And what does humanity gain from this arrangement? Surely you don't propose to share your technological advantages freely. Sarah smiled. What we gain is precisely what we've been fighting for. A stable, peaceful galaxy where humanity can continue to grow and develop without fear of conquest or subjugation. We've seen what the alternative looks like. The Kraxan Empire proved that rule through force ultimately leads to stagnation and collapse. As the day progressed, more and more delegates began to see the vision humanity was proposing. It wasn't just empty promises of peace. It was a practical framework for ensuring that no species could ever again accumulate the kind of overwhelming military advantage the Kraxans had possessed. The choice is yours, Rodriguez concluded, his holographic form addressing the assembly. Humanity has the power to enforce peace through strength, as the Kraxans did. Instead, we're offering you the chance to build something better. True cooperation between equals, with each species contributing its unique strengths to our common defense and advancement. One by one, the delegates began to signal their approval. Even those who had been most suspicious of humanity's intentions could see that this proposal was different from anything that had come before. It wasn't just a new empire with a different species at its head. It was a fundamental reimagining of how civilizations could interact. 5 years after the fall of the Kraxan Empire, Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the newly completed Unity station, watching ships from 24 different species moving through the Quantum Gate network. The massive structure, built through the combined efforts of all council members, served as both the headquarters of the Galactic Defense Council and a symbol of what diverse species could achieve together. But the price of victory still weighed heavily on her mind. While humanity's swift and decisive action had prevented a prolonged war, thousands had still died in those crucial first days. The Kraxan Empire's collapse, though necessary, had thrown hundreds of worlds into chaos before stability could be restored. Admiral, a familiar voice called. She turned to see Dr. Maya Patil approaching, now serving as Earth's chief representative to the Council's scientific exchange program. The latest reports from the frontier colonies, Sarah asked, though she could already read the concern on Maya's face. We've detected unusual energy signatures beyond the Council's space, Maya confirmed. They match nothing in our combined databases. The Arcson long-range sensors suggest it could be another empire, one that makes the Kraxans look primitive by comparison. Sarah nodded slowly, having expected this day would come. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's victory over the Kraxans had sent ripples through space that were bound to attract attention. Have you informed the Council? An emergency session has been called. But this time, we're not facing it alone. They made their way to the Council chambers, where representatives from every member species were already gathering. The chamber itself was a testament to how far they'd come. Former enemies now sat side by side, their combined knowledge and technology creating defenses far stronger than anything the Kraxans had ever achieved. Former Grand Marshal Kexnar, now the Kraxan representative to the Council, was presenting the analysis. The energy signatures suggest weapons technology far beyond anything we ever developed. But together, we might have a chance. Admiral Rodriguez, joining via quantum link from Earth, studied the data with his cybernetic eye. We always knew there would be bigger threats out there. It's why we pushed so hard for true cooperation, rather than just replacing the Kraxan Empire with our own. The Zentari delegate's crystalline form pulsed with determination. The humans were right 5 years ago. Strength through unity, not dominance. Our combined research teams have already developed technologies that none of our species could have created alone. Sarah watched as the council chamber transformed into a strategic display, showing the combined fleet movements of all member species. What had started as a human victory over the Kraxans had evolved into something far more powerful: genuine cooperation between diverse civilizations, each contributing their unique strengths to their common defense. "We've detected their scout ships testing our borders," Maya reported, bringing up the latest sensor data. "They're probably expecting to find the same divided, competing species the Kraxans once ruled over. Instead, they'll find something unprecedented in this part of the galaxy: true unity in diversity." The council chamber hummed with activity as representatives from each species contributed their insights and expertise. The Mixari, with their unique understanding of plasma physics, proposed modifications to the quantum gate network. The Arxans' advanced sensor technology had already given them crucial early warning. Even the reformed Kraxans were proving invaluable, their centuries of military experience helping to identify potential weaknesses in their defenses. "This is what victory really looks like," Sarah mused, watching the cooperation unfold. "Not just defeating an enemy, but building something better in their place. The price we paid wasn't just in lives lost. It was in taking on the responsibility to ensure it never happens again." The emerging threat had triggered not panic, but renewed determination. Research teams from multiple species were already collaborating on new defensive technologies. Fleet commanders were running joint exercises, combining their different tactical doctrines into something entirely new. What had started as humanity's response to the Kraxan threat had evolved into a true partnership of equals. "Send word to all member worlds," Rodriguez ordered. "Initiate Protocol Vigilant Dawn. But make it clear, this is not a drill, but neither is it a cause for panic. We face this threat as one unified force." As the orders went out, Sarah remembered those first crucial battles against the Kraxans. Humanity had won through careful preparation and technological innovation. Yes, but their greatest victory had come after the fighting stopped, convincing former enemies to become true allies. Maya approached with a final report. "The combined fleet is ready, Admiral. Ships from every member species, crews working together, using technology we developed jointly. Whatever's coming, we face it together." Sarah nodded, watching as the massive defense fleet assembled through the observation window. Human ships flew in formation with former Kraxan vessels, their crews now fighting side by side. Zentari crystalline ships sparkled alongside Mixari plasma drives, each species contributing its unique capabilities to their common defense. "The real victory," she said quietly, "wasn't in defeating the Kraxans. It was in proving that there's a better way than endless conquest and domination. Whatever comes next, we face it not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals united in our determination to remain free." The unknown energy signatures grew stronger, suggesting the approaching empire would make its presence known soon. But as Sarah looked at the combined fleet assembling to meet this new threat, she felt not fear but confidence. They had paid the price of victory not just in blood and sacrifice, but in the hard work of building trust between former enemies. Whatever this new threat represented, they would face it together, proving that unity and cooperation were stronger than any empire built on force and fear. "All ships, assume defensive positions," she ordered, watching as the combined fleet moved with practiced precision. "Let's show them what real civilization looks like."